So we're getting close to this tool being where it needs to be, with the exception of a huge optimization stage that we're going to get into. You may be asking, instead of just using textures, is there some other way that I can kind of control where this, how the distribution works here? Or can I use textures to do it? So let's talk about that. We have a UV texture on our grid. And what I'm going to do here is a couple things. I'll show you a few different ways of doing this. So if we have a grid that's fairly subdivided, or an object that's fairly subdivided, we can actually create a texture map and use that attribute to drive our scattering. So I'm just going to put down an attribute from, where is it? Attribute from map. There we go. Let's just wire that straight into here. And then I'll change our UV color. I'm just going to go into the HFS directory here. And we will grab our mandrel. Where is mandrel? There he is. So what I'm going to do is take the red value and create an attribute called scatter. So I'm just going to make an attribute create. So I'm pressing tab, typing attribute create. Put that right here. And we will call this scatter. And for the value here, we will say attribute cd dot x. And let's just wire these in. So I'm just selecting that and just dragging that here. And then rewiring. There we go. So now we're back down here in our multi-scatter. Oops, sorry, scrolling around a little too much here. And I'm just going to select the density attribute, which is called scatter. Yours might say density or something else. I've changed this to scatter to match the attribute name that we've done here. So if I change this to something else, that should just error out. So they have to match. Yeah, and we can look at, so that would be the red value, that would be the green value, and that would be the blue value. And you can see how that works. We don't have any extra points here. It's just choosing exactly where to scatter. And of course, that's going to be very dependent on the resolution of your object coming in. So if I bring this down to, 5 by 5, right, we don't get a very accurate result. And part of that is because our attribute from map doesn't have much resolution here to choose from. So if you are going to use this method, you have to make sure that you've got enough subdivisions that it's going to actually work correctly. The other way of dealing with this would be to scatter everywhere and then create an attribute from a texture map and delete anything that is with below a certain threshold or above a certain threshold. So another thing that I'm going to do here to show you is, let's say we just have a scatter attribute. So I'm going to call this scatter, and we'll delete this out of here. I'm just going to give that a constant value of 1. We can put a paint, so I'm pressing tab and typing the word paint. Paint stop down here, and we'll just wire this into here just like that. And look at the paint stop. We activate our tool here. We simply scroll down, choose override color, and we give it the name of the attribute we want to paint on top of. So I'm going to type scatter, and you can see that this has changed. So holding down shift and middle mouse button and then dragging left and right, I can change the size here. And I can as well go into our brush here and choose a low opacity, say 0.2. And then from here, we can just simply, let me check one thing, scatter, start with 0 first. Make sure we're starting with nothing. There we go. So now we're at nothing. And now I'm just going and painting. And you can see the display when we start getting to pure red, that's 100%. And you can also right click in the menu here. And right now you can see the left mouse operation is set to paint. We can go to smooth, change our opacity up to full, and smooth out values. You can also erase and stuff, but I'll let you figure out how the paint stop works. Then as we go down to our multi-scatter, you can see now that we've chosen exactly where on this mesh we are painting our scatter to. So save the file. And then we're going to have a big talk about how to optimize this.